Welcome to this video, which is going to give you some tips and ideas on what you need to do when you're leading music or conducting music. I'm hoping that this is going to be the first in a series of videos that will give you some tips on how to be conducting music when you're in a church setting or when you're leading a choir, leading a group of people who are singing. Mainly they're going to be based on the conducting course, which has been put out by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But it's also with my own experience from about 20 years of leading music in various different settings, and yeah, being a trained musician myself. So it's a combination of the two. This video is going to be mainly just my own thoughts and my ideas on some big picture things that you want to think about when you're learning how to conduct. But if we just think firstly about music, music is such an amazing opportunity that we've been given by God. Music unites us. It helps us to feel things deep within us that we don't feel with our other senses when we just listen to somebody reading or when we're speaking, and if we read something ourselves, we feel things, certainly, but music can get to the very heart of your very deepest parts of your soul. And so it's such an amazing opportunity we have to be singing and to be listening to music and to be making music even for many people. And when we think also about particularly sacrament meetings or other worship services we have in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, singing as a congregation is one of only two things that we do together, everybody that's in the room. We sing together, and at the end of prayers or talks we say amen together. And really those are the only two things that we do together as a body of saints as we're in this setting. And the way that we sing when we're singing together is really a reflection of how we are worshiping God, how we're praising God. And I hope that as we sing together, as you are leading music and conducting music, that you also think about what is it that we're trying to do. We're trying to help the saints to really come together and to be praising God together, to be worshiping together, and to be helping all of us to feel deep within us the things that only music can really bring out to us. So firstly, just why do we need somebody in the front there leading the music? Not all churches have that. Some people just have words up on the screen and they just sing together and they just follow the person who's playing the piano or whatever music that they have. So why do we have this? Why do we have somebody who leads the music in the church? And if the people who are singing have somebody in front that they can be focusing on, it helps all of us to sing together. It helps to focus our attention in one place. And when we all do that, we're much more likely then to be singing together and to also be able to sing with feeling, because if we're all united, we start feeling things within us and we're able to then translate that into the way that we're singing. So that person leading the music really helps us to all be able to be united. And your role as the music leader is to then be able to communicate with the people who are singing. You communicate using your facial expressions, using your body movements, generally just the top part of your body, but you use your body and your facial expressions and your voice as well to lead the people singing and to help them to feel united and to just join together. So some important things to think about and to try and do. And as you do it, the more you lead music, the more you'll be able to bring these in more and more. So these are just some things to think about. Come back to this video. Hopefully, I hope you'll come back and think about these again. So because you're trying to communicate with the congregation, you're trying to help them all to sing together, it's really important that you make eye contact. When you're looking at them, it helps them to want to look at you and to be able to see what it is that you're trying to communicate with them. Now, to be able to do that, it's really important that you know the hymn that you're singing. So you hold the book, and you're going to need to look down and be checking the words from time to time. But it's really important that you're quite familiar with the hymn, the melody, with the words of the hymn, and what it is you're going to be doing with your hand, so that you're able to just sing without needing to be bound to what is actually in your hand. So if you're looking at your book all the time, how is it that the people singing are going to feel like you're part of a team, like you're leading them? It's really important that you make eye contact with them. Then another thing that's really important that you need to do is you're needing to try and express the mood of the hymn through your body movements. And at the top of the hymn, there is always one little word that describes the mood. And just as I paged through it before this video, paged through the hymn book, I saw some words like brightly, calmly, prayerfully, fervently, majestically, thoughtfully. And as you are as you're leading the music, you should be trying to bring this mood across. So if it's something that's bright, you're going to be doing sharp movements to try and get that brightness coming through. If it's a thoughtful hymn, you're going to be more thoughtful in the way that you express your arm movements, your hand movements. So the way that you move your body can help the congregation. But if they don't feel like you're part of a team, if you're part of this communication backwards and forwards, they're not looking at you because you're not making eye contact with them. They're not going to be looking at your arm movements, so then it doesn't really matter what you're doing. So it's important that you use your eye contact and your movements to try and have this communication happening between yourself and the congregation. Very closely linked to the mood of the hymn is going to be the tempo or the speed. So that's the beats per minute. How quick are we doing it, or how slow are we singing the hymn? And again, at the top of each hymn, it gives you the tempo or the beats per minute. And quite often it would be 60 to 90 or 80 to 120 or something like that. What that means is how many beats per minute are you supposed to be doing? So if you're thinking 60 beats per minute, that would be 1 beat per second. And that's actually quite slow. If you're thinking about 1, 2, 3, hopefully that's about a second each. Or if you're doing something that's 120, that's 2 beats every second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you can use on your phone or online. There are metronomes that you can get just to get a sense of how quick or how slow do you actually need to be conducting as you're going through. You are actually responsible for setting that pace as the person who's leading the music. So it's quite important that you know up front what is the mood and what is the tempo that I'm trying to set as I lead this music. Then another thing that you do is you encourage people to be singing by them seeing you sing. So it's really important that you use your mouth to be clearly singing, to be singing with a wide open mouth rather than like trying to swallow your words as you're going through. So you try to sing out. Hopefully you're confident to sing, and it doesn't really matter what your voice sounds like. You don't have to have the best voice. There are many times that I wake up in the morning, Sunday morning sacrament meetings, I'm very croaky, and my voice doesn't sound great. But by singing out, it helps other people to also, sometimes actually it's good if you don't sing that well, because then people will feel confident that if they don't sing well, they can still sing, even though they are worried or self-conscious about how they are singing. And if everybody just sings, then we all sing together and we make a great sound together, and it doesn't matter if individual voices aren't as strong as you might want it to be. So it's very important that you sing out if you sing out as loudly as you are able to, and use your mouth to be able to be clearly pronouncing the words so that people can even follow. Just by watching you and following you, they can sing out. If they're quite familiar with the hymn, they might also be able to just glance down at the first word or two of a line to remind them, what's this line that I'm singing? And then just by watching you, they can sing the hymn. So that's really, really important. In this age of COVID, what that also means is you need to take your mask off. So take off your mask so that people can see your mouth as you're singing. You're not going to be very close to people, so it's okay. Just in the same way that somebody who's giving a talk takes their mask off while they're giving a talk, you should take your mask off, because you are now the person communicating with the congregation while you are singing. And again, it's quite important that you know the hymn quite well, otherwise you're not going to be able to be confidently looking at the people, speaking, pronouncing the words clearly so that they can follow your mouth to be able to be singing the words for themselves. So you need to be comfortable and familiar with the hymn so that you can confidently sing as you're going through. The last really important part of what you need to do is that you work with the accompanist, the pianist, the organist. So you work together as a team to be leading the music. You're the face of the music, in terms of you're the one who's communicating with the congregation. But it's also really important that you communicate with the person who is accompanying you, because without the accompanist, if the congregation is singing at a different speed to the accompanist, it's going to sound pretty chaotic and pretty crazy. So it's important that you are working together with the accompanist. It really is you as the leader, though, that sets the tone and the tempo or the speed. So if you're not sure what they're wanting to be doing with a particular hymn, it's quite important that you speak to them in advance and say, I want to set quite a quick tone, quite a quick tempo with this hymn. So let's start the introduction to be quite quick. Or actually, I know this normally is played fast, but for this reason, whatever, I want to do this one slow today. So just kind of give them an indication of how fast it is that you're wanting to be playing. And even while they're playing the introduction, you can, inside your book, you can kind of beat out the time so they can get a sense of what it is that you're wanting to do. Also, some of our hymns have additional verses underneath the main body of the hymn. There are a couple other verses that might be underneath it. And so generally the presiding officer should really actually be saying whether you can be singing just the standard 4 verses or the extra 2 as well. Sometimes they will, the conducting officer will tell you just before, say the closing hymn, we've run out of time, we need to sing only 1 verse rather than all 4 verses. So they might tell the congregation in advance. But otherwise, speak to the accompanist before and say, for this one, I want to sing the extra verses, or I don't want to sing the extra verses this time, so that you can communicate with your body, but it's a lot easier if you've spoken in advance and you just have a sense of what you're both planning on doing. Something that's also really important is that you're able to make eye contact with the accompanist as you're going through. So you need to position yourself. Generally the piano or the organ can't move, so you need to position yourself in a place where you can be making eye contact with that person, because in the same way that you're communicating with the congregation to be singing, you're communicating and you're working as a team with the accompanist as well. So it's not only important for them to see your body movements, but also that they can see your eyes, and so that you can communicate if need be, through looking at them and through having some non-verbal communication as you're going through. So again, you communicate with them in advance about what kind of tempo, the speed, and what kind of mood you're trying to set, but have that continuous eye movement as you go through. So those are just some basic ideas. In future videos, I'll go through actually how to be conducting the different patterns and things like that. But this is just some really good things to be thinking about whenever you are leading the music, because as you are communicating with the congregation, that's really how we are able to make music together, and we're able to make this joyful noise and be able to be praising God together as we do it. Thank you.